College Success. Welcome to week 9, and we are officially in the second half of the semester already, which is insane to think about. The holidays will be approaching before we know it. All right, so just a reminder, since we are in the second half of the semester at this point, please make sure that you are registering and attending your student services workshop or student life event, however you want to meet this requirement. Remember, to get the credit, you have to attend and then submit certificate or some kind of proof of attendance, not just the registration part of it. If you have questions on that, feel free to reach out or make sure you check out my video or the written instructions. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into week 9. So week 9 is chapter 7, and I know this sounds a little weird, but it's about thinking. And the reason it's about thinking is it talks about all the different components of thinking: critical thinking, analytical thinking, creative thinking, and how that plays a role in college. I mean, obviously, like it sounds obvious, like you need to think, but there are different levels and there are different strategies that go along with it in the role that different types of thinking play in different situations. And so you have your chapter 7 lecture video there. Of course, you have your link to your chapter 7 textbook and the chapter 7 slides, all things that you can check out to get acclimated to the content of this particular week. All right, so what are you doing this week? Well, you are normal week. You have a discussion post due by Wednesday for your weekly attendance, responded to classmates by Sunday. You have a chapter 7 assignment called What Would Bugs Do? I think it's kind of a fun assignment. And then you have your chapter 7 quiz. So let's jump right in. The assignment folder, Chapter 7 discussion. So here is your prompt. So some people say creativity is in the realm of children. Can you think of how a child's curiosity and willingness to explore may help you understand a college discipline that is unfamiliar to you now? Write a reflection on how you could use curiosity toward one of your most difficult courses. So basically, sometimes we tend to think adults, unless they're in like a creative field maybe, are not as creative as they used to be or curious. So think about how children in general tend to be curious about a lot of things. They also tend to have a very good imagination. They're creative with their time and their play. How could you use that mindset, that curiosity mindset, that asking a lot of questions? How could you use that to apply it toward a class that's difficult, or maybe anticipating a class that you're going to take that is difficult? So kind of thinking about that aspect of curiosity and creative thinking and how that could help you with a difficult course or a difficult subject area as a college student. So again, post that by Wednesday for your weekly attendance, respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. All right, so your chapter 7 assignment is going to open up into, oops, I need to actually get to the right one there. There we go. Into a PDF here. And so again, chapter 7 talks about creative thinking. And so it gives you this little scenario. Your institution has cut funding to the library, tutoring center, and the wellness center effective immediately. You know very well that you and your fellow students' success will suffer because you will not be able to access these services. Think about first what you would do. Just kind of like think through what would you do in that situation. And you could be honest, you might not do anything. But what you're going to do for the assignment purpose is go ahead and answer what each of these people or characters you think they would do. So if you're not familiar with any of these, feel free to Google just to get a little bit of a background. But my assumption is most of them you'll kind of know who they are or something about them. So we've got Bugs, we know this is a fictional character, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Gates, Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, Jay-Z, Malala Yousafzai, which those are all real people. And then of course we have Harry Potter, which is another fictional character. So think about what these characters or people would do in this situation. So whether it's maybe they would fundraise, they would bring awareness to the situation. I had people talk about Bugs Bunny. He would burrow a hole to a bank, rob the bank and burrow it back and give it to the institution. You know, like Bugs Bunny and Harry Potter would probably be pretty fanciful, but think about what these people might do in these situations. Again, if you're not sure who they are or what they did, you recognize their name but not what they do, you can do a quick little Google search just to give you some background on kind of what they've done with their life. So some of this might be like volunteering or giving money, whatever you think. And then down here, just a couple quick little questions. Of these possible solutions, which is the most realistic? Obviously, Harry Potter and Bugs are not going to be realistic. So which one is realistic? And then which one might be the most exciting? So like Harry Potter might be doing some kind of spell. So again, this is a creative thinking assignment. So when you're done, make sure you save it with your changes so you're not uploading a blank document to me, and then put it in that Dropbox. And then finally, your chapter 7 quiz. In this Word doc, question 1 talks about open-mindedness. It is a characteristic of creative thinkers. Do you think you're open-minded? Do you think you're open-minded or lack thereof? Depends on the subject matter. And then talk about a time where you had to be kind of open-minded or question your open-mindedness. Question 2, there's a quote from Mark Twain that says, there's no such thing as a new idea. Do you agree or disagree? And then use some examples to support your opinion. It says use 1 or 2 examples. So yes, I agree with him that there is no such thing as a new idea. Take blank, for instance, whatever you want to think of, whatever innovation or invention or idea. Or no, he's not wrong. There's new things all the time, and then give me an example. Question 3, this semester have you tried doing anything in a different way that you've done in the past? How do you even feel about being told or asked or suggested to try something new? Explain your reaction. If you have tried doing things differently, what was the outcome? Did it work well? Are you sticking with your new method or are you going back to your old ways? So try to stick to something like maybe academic. Maybe you've tried a new note-taking strategy, a new study strategy, time management, whatever that might be, and talk about that experience. Question 4. Can you recall a time when you had to use some clear and logical thinking to resolve a conflict? And it says at work, but you can also, depending on your situation, maybe it's at home with family members, maybe it's in a school situation. So kind of broaden that if you don't currently work anywhere. What happened and what was your role in solving that problem? And then finally, as you think about metacognition as a mature activity, when did you first become aware of thinking about your thinking? Because this chapter does talk about metacognition and thinking about thinking. When did you become aware of your thinking processes? When did you question the way that you thought and how you arrived at conclusions? Has it evolved or changed over time? Just kind of talk about your experience with metacognition and how it's changed your actions or your behaviors. All right, and then again, you want to make sure you submit that by Sunday. So quick little review. You are going to be in week 9, take some time, look over chapter 7, then make sure you post your original response about creativity and curiosity by Wednesday for weekly attendance, respond to 2 classmates by Sunday, and then get your What Would Bugs Do and chapter 7 quiz by Sunday as well. Also be thinking of your student services workshop assignment. Reach out if you have any questions and have a great week.